Good evening, everyone, and we are back. The Fully Loaded Transfer Show, episode 2 is back. We're full in effect, and I tell you what, it's been another mad week being a Newcastle United fan. So, as always, all the links, all the news, all the gossip, all the opinions are here. You don't need to go anywhere else. Loaded Mag NUFC, and I'm joined by the top guys in the room. We've got Martin and we've got Daz. How are you, boys?
Yeah, not too bad. Glad to be back. I know I haven't been on for a while. Those who did text me and said, I'm glad you've left the channel. Well, I haven't. So there you go. I had a few DMs, to be fair. You guys sent me messages and stuff. For anyone that doesn't know, I haven't been well the last few weeks. Couple of things going on, but not been too good. So just kind of focusing on my health. But yeah, kind of a few changes and feeling a lot better. So yeah, first one back. Love last week's. Glad in one way to see the transfer shows back on, but already dreading transfer deadline day, knowing I'll be spending a hell of a lot of time on my ass on this stool. But yeah, great to be back, boys. So looking forward to tonight. Bit of chat and a bit of banter. So yeah, bring it on.
Great to have you back.
I'm good. Yeah, great to have you back as well,
Thanks,
Martin. I'm Grand Pete. We had a show there on with Paul on Tuesday night. As I was saying to you, the only thing that's wrong with me is hay fever, driving me crazy. Hay fever. It's been a bad week behavior, snotting and sneezing. So apologies for any coughing I do through the show. I'll try and go on mute. But all good. Apart from that, bring it on.
You know what? I think we're all the walking wounded tonight. We've got Lee in the back, who's not 100%. We've got Jordan that's probably got some suffering injuries from his father side last night. But yeah, look, let's not wait any longer. Let's get those boys in because we're in for a treat with lots and lots to talk about. So Newcastle World's own Jordan Cronin, welcome in.
Hello, lads. George.
There he is.
Very good.
Yeah, it's answer to Pele.
You're right about us being sore. I've got a sore cough off last night, so
I knew you'd have an injury.
It's like the walking wounded this show, isn't it? Maybe we should do health chats. Let's forget the football.
Yeah, too right. And to be fair, Lee, I didn't know if he was going to make it tonight, but look, as a true soldier, he's rallied round and he's joined us for tonight. So welcome in, Man Online Talk Sports own Lee Davey. Welcome in.
Welcome back, Lee.
Hi guys, nice to see you all. As I said before we start the show must go on. You got to soldier through. Struggling, got tonsillitis at the moment, so we're struggling a little bit with that. But we are here to talk transfers. As long as I can keep talking, I'm always going to be here, so we're good to go.
Love it.
Can I ask one question?
Superb effort.
Go for it, Lee.
Just say, how was the chicken on was it Saturday?
Well, are you asking me or are you asking Lee?
Or both, yeah. I want to hear both your opinions.
To be fair, he's in the chat as well. I've got to be honest, it was outstanding.
To be fair, you would say that now.
No, honestly, Lee, what did I say? What did I say on Saturday? I said it to you. I said chicken was amazing. I ate way more than I should have on Saturday. I struggled to drive home. Jamaican that Jamaican jerk chicken, on point.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, man.
Glad you enjoyed it. It was good. It was very nice.
We'll have to organise a loaded get together where we share the chicken out so everyone can taste good stuff.
Absolutely,
I can see a new brand coming off, loaded chicken, drone deliveries available.
There you go.
Just send a bit Republic wise, please, lads.
I tell you what, Simon's in the chat, top sponsor. Get it on, get it hashtagged on.
Make it happen. Make it happen, Simon.
But look, we are here for transfers, and I tell you what, it has been a mad week, and I've got to be honest, I don't really know where to start because we could start in so many other different directions. However, just very, very quickly, I think it's important before we get into the meat of the transfers that we acknowledge someone that's represented the club really, really well He departed earlier on this week on loan to Norwich. Isaac Hayden made his move very, very quickly and very quietly on loan to Norwich for next season. I, for one, applaud him for that. I talked about it on the show with Paul the other night, in the way in which he managed that and the way in which he left the club. Absolute top class, in my opinion. Look, Jordan, I know you reported on this. Just your initial thoughts on Isaac Hayden making that move.
Yeah, I echo your thoughts. A great servant for the football club. Was there 6 years, made over 170 appearances. That shouldn't go unnoticed, and really was just the ultimate pro. And that showed over the last sort of 6 months. You know, he was left out of the 25-man squad, and I know how big he was behind the scenes. Was constantly supporting the players that were playing on the pitch, and just being a really positive guy around the place, which deserves massive credit for that, because being left out the 25-man squad, recovering from a knee injury at the time, it could have quite easy just sort of throw the towel in and stayed away from the place. But he wanted to be there. He wanted to support Eddie Howe and the players, and for me, I commend him for that. A good move from going to Norwich. They'll be competing to come straight back up to the Premier League next year. And I hope for Isaac Hayden's sake that Norwich do get promoted, because he deserves to be playing week in, week out in the Premier League. Unfortunately, his time at Newcastle just naturally came to an end, I think. Newcastle are going to new levels now. You look at the players assigned in January, like Bruno, and obviously Joe Linton's emergence in centre midfield made it very difficult for Isaac Hayden to get back into that team, especially when he got left out of the 25-man squad as well. So, a great servant, got a lot of time from Ultimate Pro, and I wish him all the best at Norwich. I know it's only a loan deal, but it's an obligation to buy. I believe if Norwich City get promoted, so it's probably likely Isaac Hayden, even if he is to come back to Newcastle next summer, not with Norwich, it'll be the last time he's played for the football club. So, massive servant for the club, and got a lot of time for him. I'm sure you guys will wish him well as well.
Definitely. Mark, you didn't get a chance to obviously talk about it on the show Tuesday, but look, just your opinions on Isaac Hayden and the way in which he's left. What are your initial feelings now he's already out the door?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think to echo what Jordan said, he's been a magnificent servant. I know I can see a couple of comments in there saying he wanted to be away a couple of seasons ago. Do you blame the lad? He wasn't getting ball time. So if you're a footballer or you're any kind of professional sportsman, if you're a journalist, if you're at the top of your trade and you're not getting time in any work, you want to be away to somewhere where you're going to get it. So you couldn't blame the lad. But I think the way he conducted himself, getting through the injuries, not getting game time, still rocking in and out every week, I think even despite everything that was going on, I think he's held himself of the highest manner. So I think he'll do a cracking job for Norwich. They've got a real ball winner there. I'll miss some of his tackles because he was never scared to get a foot in. I've seen a few of the clips floating around Twitter. So, I wish him all the best. If Norwich do come back up, I hope he gets the deal he's looking for, and long may he continue. I think to be fair, probably a season in the Championship will do him no harm at the same time, and just re-establish himself, because he's a good footballer. End of.
Were you surprised, Martin, that he went to the Championship? Because a few people were.
I'm not surprised, but I think he probably could have done a job for some of the teams coming up as well. So I was maybe a little bit surprised that maybe a Bournemouth or somebody, because I know he wanted to head back down south. So I'm maybe a little bit surprised that maybe one of them didn't pick him up. But then, as you said, it was done quite quiet and quite quickly. So, look, I think Dean Smith will obviously do a decent job. Norwich have got some good players there. They'll probably be one of the favourites to come back up. So it's probably a good deal rather than maybe go to one of the lower teams like Everton or Palace or one of those and, face relegation possibly. So we'll see. Yeah, I hope he does well. He's a good lad.
Definitely. I think that's the overriding feeling. I think everyone is buzzing at the fact that, he's gone. He's gone with our blessing. We wish him the best. It also means, and look, let's not beat around the bush. It also means there's a player out the door. There's those wages that are out the door.
There's a chunk of salary gone,
exactly, and it means, hopefully, that another player can be moving into that position. But speaking of players moving in, we had a nice little surprise in terms of this week, a transfer going through. And the main man who had a fantastic last 6 months at Newcastle at left back, Matty Targett, he's back, and he's back to stay. As Jamie Rubin said in his tweet earlier on this week. So Matty Targett in on a permanent deal, 4-year deal. There were lots of talk over the course of the last couple of weeks that we were looking elsewhere. And look, Jordan, I think you wrote an article about this, about the situation with regards to Matty Targett. So look, I'll come to you first. What do you think of the deal? And, was it true that we were looking elsewhere before we then decided to go with Matty Targett? And what was the change? What was the change in thought about that?
Yeah, so Newcastle did go and look at other targets, and the big one being was Renan Lodi at Atletico Madrid. You've seen the figure that was allegedly quoted for him. It was around 40 million euros. And ultimately, that for a left back at this time at Newcastle probably isn't much a priority as it is in terms of signing a centre back, a winger, and a centre forward as well. So, Newcastle had looked at another few options. Well, Aaron Hickey, the Scotland international, still only 19, he was considered as well. But they've decided to go back in for Targett, and I've got no complaints about that whatsoever. £15 million in total. I think Newcastle paid around 3 million loan fee in January, and then now it's 12 million at the end of the season. So for a reliable, dependable Premier League left back who really rarely let Newcastle down, or sort of maybe when he came up against the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool, you can't go wrong with a deal like that. And it's only 15 million. Newcastle have now got room to go and spend more money on other positions, as I say, like your centre backs, your wide forwards, and a striker as well. But Matt Targett was clearly a popular player in the dressing room. You've seen when he signed yesterday, all the players coming out and congratulating him. Clearly made a big impression during his time at Newcastle. So it's good because it helps keep sort of the team camaraderie. Eddie Howe built a massive team bond towards the end, during the second half of last season. Arguably, took Newcastle to where they finished, which was 11th, and Matt Targett played a big part in that. So to have him still at the football club, I think is a big positive. And as I say, the most important thing for me is what I would say about the Matt Targett deal is it now allows Newcastle to go and look at other positions and spend probably a little bit more money than they would have if they'd spent, say, 30 million on a left back.
No, I think that's a great point, and it is. We're going to have to box smart in this transfer window with certain deals. And look, Dad, I'll come to you with regards to Matty Targett. There's been a lot of talk around in the last 2 or 3 weeks since the season finished that we're looking at other alternatives. We talked about last week Renan Lodi as a potential option from Atletico Madrid, and people were excited about that. But are you genuinely happy that Matty Targett's stayed with the club? Are you happy that that's the guy that we've gone for?
Oh yeah, definitely. No. I always want Targett to stay with us. If we had bundles of cash that we didn't have to worry about financial fair play, then bring in someone else as well as a backup. But I think we kind of alluded to the Lewis getting a chance next in pre-season, and it's good to have that option there as a fallback option. And of course, Dunwell can play there as well. But Targett didn't put a foot wrong. He was always a 7 out of 10. And delighted he signed with us. And the total was 15 million with the loan fee taking up some of that. So it was a no-brainer. It was for us. So get that one out of the way. It's as soon as Dan Ashford sat in his chair, that one was done. Happy days. Let's move on to the next one.
Happy days. Mark, I'll come to you with the slight little twinge on the Matty Targett situation, because the Matty Targett deal, when it was announced, was met with a lot of finger pointing with regards to Aston Villa and some of their fans. Happy about the fact that he's left, quite actually disrespectful in some of the comments towards him for a player that served them quite well and was their player of the season the previous season. They're talking about Luca Dean being like a much better player and all the rest of it, but Matty Target played more football in the last 6 months and finished higher than Luca Dean and higher than Aston Villa. So surely we've benefited from the deal more than Aston Villa. What do you think?
I think that's your answer exactly there. 14-game head start. We took their left back and we still finished above them. So, look, I think the thing with Digne is when you looked at that last bit of his spell at Everton when he wanted to move, his attitude was shocking. So I think for me, the thing, you know, and Jordan probably crunched on the point there, Eddie Howe's trying to build a group of players that gel together, you know, spend time together, socialize together, and build something that camaraderie works. And I think you've only got to look at, okay, is Matty Target, you know, the best left back in the world? No, he's not. But what he is he's genuine. He's hardworking. He's got great attitude, and he's competitive. So absolutely no brainer. And I think someone put in the chat there to get England's right back in Trippier and Matt Target, a potential future England left back, for a grand total of about 24, 25 million is a savage deal to be done. So I applaud the team that's in there that's doing some of these deals. Obviously, Dan Ashworth's coming now, so I'm sure he'll steer it away, you know, in his own inevitable way as we recruit. But yeah, I think, look, let Villa crack on and do their own thing. Let them worry about them and we'll worry about us.
Yeah, there's been an awful lot on wages, aren't they? That some of the deals that they've put in.
They'll end up being another Everton.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you know, talking about some of the wages, I think Luca Dean doubled the amount of wages that Matty Target was on to sign him there, and he's played a hell of a lot less football. Look, not arguing about the talent. We actually looked at him in January as a potential, so we can't discard that. But Matty Target has been Mr. Consistent, and he's played very, very well and really solidified his spot. Now,
I think Paul Oxley, sorry, Pete, I think Paul Oxley makes a really good spot in the chat there, mate. He said, if you look at when City signed Wayne Bridge,
yes,
it's all about steps. Yeah. So it's about gradual replacement, you know, over a couple of years with better players than we had. And that's no disrespect to Dummett or anybody else that's there. But to be fair, Matty Target's an upgrade. So he's effectively our Wayne Bridge. You know, you're bringing players in to improve in those positions, add depth to the squad. So it's 100%. It's a great deal for us.
Great point about Wayne Bridge in that type of signing. It's not that's
Paul
not the
Oxley,
first time. Paul Oxley obviously always makes great comments in the chat. Appreciate that and glad to see him joining us tonight. Now, I haven't come to Lee yet, and I haven't come to him for a reason, because we are going to then now move on into the transfer situation. And it may not be the person we think we're going to start with, but a person that we've been heavily linked with recently, and it's this man, Hugo Ekitike. Now, you know, we talked about him last week. It looked like a deal could maybe potentially happen, but obviously over the course of the week, it has sort of, you know, developed, and there is a full agreement there with Newcastle. It looks like, you know, we've got exactly what the club wanted in terms of the financial fee, and it does seem like it's a case of we're just now waiting for that particular situation of his international duty to kind of fall away and to finish for us to go and sign the deal. Now, there was a little bit of a bump in the road, I'll say, tonight. Can you guys hear me still? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I slowed down for a second and I panicked. But yeah, just in terms of, he was playing for France under-20s tonight against Mexico under-20s, and within 5 minutes he's pulled up with a hamstring and had to go off. And there was a Twitter meltdown off the back of that. He's pulled his hamstring, you know, deal off, could be affected by that. You know, just what are your thoughts about the Ekitike deal on the back of the injury? And do you think the deal is as straightforward as it may seem? And there's a reason why I've asked you that question.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loud and clear, mate.
Fantastic. Okay. Initially, you alerted me earlier today, Pete, to his injury. I was working and doing other things, and you actually messaged me earlier, told me he got injured. And initially, I said to you, it's probably be okay. It shouldn't have too much of an impact. But then I remembered that he got injured in January with his hamstring. It put him out for 3 months. He didn't come back until May. Now, again, I don't know as of yet whether it's the same hamstring. I'd need to find that information out.
Opposite side, Lee, I think.
Is it the opposite? Have you got
opposite side, mate? Yeah, that's what's floating around left hand side, I think.
Now he hasn't played a lot of football in 2022. But due to this injury that he had in January, I think he had like literally 2 games back. Then it was the end of the season. Now he's playing in the under-20s. So there could be various reasons as to why he's pulled up and his hamstring's gone on him. But it could be a little bit of a long-standing problem. This could be an issue for him. He's a young lad, and he's clearly got issues with his hamstrings. Again, it could be affected by a whole wide range of things. It could be just coincidence. It could be just one of those things that's happened, and it's a bit of a coincidence. And he'll get over it. But unless we know the extent of the injury, and hopefully it's not as bad as his previous injury earlier in the year, then I don't know if it could have a potential impact. It could do. Now, as I said, until they've done some type of scan and have found out the true extent of it, it could be a little bit of a grey area, this one, I think. And obviously, go to your second point. Sorry, your second point.
Yeah. I was just going to say, there's been a lot of talk, and Jordan might have heard some noises about this too. There's been a lot of talk about the Ekitike deal, particularly on social media, as in a lot of fans are getting frustrated. A lot of people are getting frustrated to say, why is this deal not been wrapped up? We've agreed a fee. Why has it not been wrapped up? And why has the deal not been signed? People have been flying back that, he's on international duty. It's not as simple as that. And that's a fair point. But have you got maybe a different spin on maybe why the deal hasn't been done yet? I know we had a little bit of a chat about that.
Yeah, one of the things that was brought to my attention is that obviously Paris Saint-Germain have got a new sporting director, Luis Campos, who's coming in for Leonardo. Now, Luis Campos has kind of sounded out Ekitike as a player to sign at Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain now are going to be completely changing their transfer policy, and they're going to be buying a lot more French players and young French players, and will be spending a lot more money in Liga. So what happened was there was some links probably about 2 weeks ago with Paris Saint-Germain, and this is before or just around the time that Luis Campos was brought in. Now, with those links, I believe that he wanted to hold out to see if there was anything in those Paris Saint-Germain links. For him at 19, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's important that he makes the right decisions. But I think he wanted to see if there was anything in it. And I think that could have added to the delay as to why this has not been wrapped up with Newcastle. Now, personally, I think he'll end up at Newcastle, if he does move. And hopefully, as I said, the hamstring injury isn't serious and it doesn't affect medicals. It doesn't affect the deal. But let's hope that he recovers and he goes to Newcastle, because personally I think it would be a better move for him to go to Newcastle than to go to Paris Saint-Germain.
Interesting. It has been a frustration for some fans, and for some fans we've been saying, nothing to panic about. Once the internationals have gone through, let's see what happens. And it will be a case of let's see what happens. What was interesting in that is that with that injury today, it was Fabrizio Romano had mentioned in one of his tweets that it could well be that I think I've got the right one. I think I've got a different tweet where it actually said that with the injury today that Newcastle are exploring different options, which surprised me a little bit because I didn't think we would, considering we went in with him.
I seen that, Pete, and he said the agent was meant to meet Newcastle on Monday and actually delayed. And I kind of read the tweet and I was kind of like, hang on a minute, he's just pulled a hammy. he's just come off of a game. Surely none of that makes sense. And it kind of came out a couple of times, and I reread it, and I kind of went, well, how would the agent not be with the club on a Monday when that token already seems to have been done? How would the agent know to hold off because he was going to get a hammy, and it was all delayed? None of it made sense. And I actually put a comment up going, none of that makes sense back to Fabrimano, and I went, no, I don't think anybody really knows what's going on, and
could well be, yeah, and I think that's a good point. But from your perspective, Jordan, obviously you've been obviously monitoring that situation with Ekitike, and we've raised a couple of points there. But injury aside, does it look like it's a deal that Newcastle want to get wrapped up quite soon?
Yeah, I think it is. But it's proven to be a difficult one in a sense because there's two issues, and I think one of them is the fees. The fees, so I got told it would be around £25 million, but there's still discussions around how that would be structured. So that the fee has been agreed, Newcastle will pay the money, no problem. But it's about how it will be structured. So will Newcastle pay £12 million up front and then 30 million in instalments? So that's one issue with the potential deal. In his agents, it's funny you touched on his agent before because I think his agent's a problem at the minute, to be honest. A big part of the discussions is agent fees, and obviously it's understandable because the agent's client, which is obviously Ekitike, wants a good sum for his client because he's a highly rated player and he's one of the sort of the next best things to come out of France, as I say. So his agent wants that represented in a fee to him personally. So for me, I think that's quite a problem, and I think his agent seems to be potentially holding out for other offers. That's just the impression I get. Say Paris Saint-Germain might come in. I'm not convinced his representatives are convinced that a move to Newcastle is right for him personally. That's not what I've been told. That's just the impression I'm getting through the delay that's been. But that said, I do think Ekitike will sign for Newcastle. I just think it's a deal that's proven fairly difficult to close out. But yeah, I am so positive. I know he said not to touch on the injury, but I don't think the injury will scupper a transfer, to be honest. The hamstring injury, I don't know, unless it was a 3 to 6 month hamstring injury, then possibly not. But usually hamstring injuries are about 4 to 6 weeks. I can't see that impacting a deal. So we'll just have to wait and see. I suppose there's a concern that he has had a hamstring injury early on the year as well. So it's clearly an issue for him. But I don't think that'll scupper a deal as long as Newcastle can get the fee agreed and get the agent fee out of the way, plus the personal terms, and Ekitike will be a Newcastle player. And I do still believe sitting here right now that he will sign for the football club. As I say, it's just taken a little bit of time.
Yeah, and clearly Paul Oxley thinks he will sign next week as well. He's just dropped that in the chat. But look, Daz, I'll come to you with regards to Ekitike. The question I've got is that obviously, and Jordan's just rightly talked about it. We've talked about the hamstring injuries. Lee mentioned he had a hamstring injury that kept him out for the best part of 3 months. He's picked up another hamstring injury. Do we take the risk and still sign him? Do we even see it as a risk? What do you think?
It goes back to my meltdown my own internal meltdown this time last week when I saw on the people putting up in the chat that Keith Downey was saying that if we sign, I'm going to keep calling him Ekitike just for Paul, the Toon review. If we sign him, Hugo, that if he's our only striker, we know Callum Wilson is injury prone. If we have Hugo and he's potentially injury prone as well, but then it's the case of, is he going to be playing main striker role or kind of more kind of winger kind of a position? I'd still sign him, yeah, but I still have this. I want to bring another striker in to play up top, just on the same caliber as Colin Wilson. So Yeah, it's still trying to go, Pete. Yeah, look, he's only 19, and he's a great future ahead of him.
No, I would agree, and I think a lot of the Newcastle fans are still excited about the fact that he will come in and what he's going to bring to the team. But you're right to point out that it is a concern that he's picked up 2 big hamstring injuries at such a young age. And, we've already got a striker who's a fantastic striker, talented, as you said, but it also picks up injuries. It just doesn't bode well going into a new season. But as we've talked about, that there is potentially an opportunity there to sign another striker, and we'll get into that later on in the show. Now, we're going to move on, and we're going to move on to the man who has caused a big stir in the last 3 or 4 days, in particularly in the last 24 to 48 hours. And again, he's a man that we've talked about a lot in January and a lot so far this summer. And it is the pursuit of Mr. Sven Botman. Now, there's been a lot of moving parts to this deal over the course of the weeks. And a lot of people have got a lot of opinions on Sven Botman, for and against with regards to his situation. So, as we had it a couple of weeks ago, it looked like he was going to be going to AC Milan. It looked like AC Milan were the ones that were in a position to sign him. However, with their takeover happening and with Newcastle then coming in with a bid that was well above what AC Milan offered, including wages as well, the tide seems to be turning a little bit. And certainly in the last 24, 48 hours, things have changed a lot, to the point where it's looking like, and Fabrizio Romano also tweeted out earlier on today and said the following, that we're still pushing for Botman as soon as possible. Talks are entering key stages with Lille, AC Milan still in the race, but Newcastle are now advancing. Negotiations with Newcastle started last January. Botman is open to the Premier League possibility. Now, I could put up a string of tweets that have come out from various different journalists, all surprisingly based in Milan, that have given us an alternative opinion to that, in that AC Milan are well within the fight. He wants to go to AC Milan ahead of Newcastle, and lots of the same. I want to know all of your guys' thoughts on this whole situation and where we're at. So, look, Jordan, I'll start with you and then I'll go to Lee. What do you know with regards to the update with Sven Botman at this point in time?
Yeah, so, you all would have seen the sort of the stories over the last 24 hours. Started off with Luke Edwards' story saying that Newcastle were more hopeful of a deal. Scott Wilson from the Northern Echo then said a deal was agreed, and what he meant by that is that Newcastle are willing to pay £30 million, but similar to that Ekitike deal, it's got to be. It hasn't been agreed totally yet because they've got to structure the deal out. So that would be, as I say, do you pay £15 million up front and £50 million in clauses as well. So it will be, or it should be, £30 million for the player if he is to come to Newcastle. But yeah, I'm in the same camp as the guys over the last 24 hours. I do believe there has been progress on the Botman deal. So many expected him to be an AC Milan player by now, but I suppose the delay has given Newcastle hope, and I know the players is keen to get a move wrapped up before he heads into his holidays. He doesn't want this to drag on for long. So if AC Milan continue to wait, then I have no doubt that Newcastle are ready to snap him up. So look, if you had asked me this last week, I would have said, yeah, Botman, I think will go to AC Milan. Now I'm probably a little bit more confident he will join, or maybe not confident, but a little bit more in favour that he might join Newcastle. And interesting this weekend as well, he is playing in Wales for the Dutch under 21. So who knows? He's only a flight away from Newcastle over in Wales. So that it's potentially a perfect opportunity for Newcastle to wrap up the deal. Obviously, that's just dream thinking from my side. But yeah, sitting here now, I'm a lot more positive about Botman joining Newcastle than I was last week.
Excellent. Great to hear. Now, Lee, I'll come to you with regards to Sven Botman. Looking at how the sort of picture's changed over the last week or so, with it being the AC Milan are kind of the head of the table, and they're the ones in a position to get the deal done. Now it's looking like Newcastle United, and it's looking like we're in the driving seat at the moment. However, there's been a lot of talk from a lot of fans and a lot of opinions that are saying, Sven Botman, he hasn't got the pace to last in the Premier League. He's not the end of the world if we don't sign him. What are your opinions on not just the race for Botman and who's going to sign him, but also the type of quality of player that we are getting? Is he the guy that we can move our club forward with in that centre-back position?
Definitely. When it comes to pace, I'm sure, people look to Thiago Silva, not blessed with pace. And you don't always need that. You don't always need pace as a centre-back if you're smart, tactically, positionally. Again, just look at Thiago Silva coming in at, I think he was about 35, 36 when he joined Chelsea, to come to the Premier League that age. And he's done a fantastic job. He's kind of took to it like a duck to water. He's been fantastic. So I don't kind of subscribe to that element of it. Sven Botman's young. He's only going to get better. He's nowhere near his prime. But at the moment, what we're seeing from him is that he's got all of the talent to be able to go on and be one of the real best defenders out there. He's been fantastic for Lille. Certainly in their title-winning season of 2020-2021. Last season was a little bit more difficult for Lille as a whole, but still performed pretty well. He had a bit of an injury in the autumn. He was out for a month or so, but he's come back. He's he's played really well. And look, he's going to go. He's going to go no matter what. There's no way he stays at Lille next season. He's going to go to the top. It's never been in doubt for me. Newcastle have registered their interest early on, and obviously really pushed for a deal in January. Didn't go through, but for me, I can see him going to Newcastle. I really can, and I do think he was open to the Milan move, or still is open to the Milan move. Obviously, there is Champions League football there. They're Serie A champions. I can see, but I can see what the attraction would be. Absolutely huge football club. But I think that Newcastle's the right move for him. I think Milan are blessed with centre-backs. And if you just look at their two centre-backs of Kalulu and Tomori, it's going to take them two are going to take a real shift in to knock one of them two out of position next season. So it makes sense to go to Newcastle. Newcastle are on the up. I think as I said last week, I think he's now, after the interest in January, he's had 4 or 5 months to have a look at what Newcastle are doing. I think if you are, if you're trying to promote what you're doing, I don't think there's been a better time for you to watch Newcastle from afar in terms of what they've done over the last, certainly the last half of the season. And anybody slightly unsure as to whether to make that move to Newcastle should be able to see that it's a club that's clearly going places. So I can see him going to Newcastle. I think it will happen. I think that the issue here is Lille will stand firm. They are a club that naturally drags out transfers because they'll have a set fee in mind, and they will want as much as they can for their players. They've always historically been quite a difficult club to negotiate with. So I think if Newcastle can just stay firm, they'll get their man. And I think certainly he's a player that can push the club forward. He's a potential club captain. He's got everything that you want. He's a model professional. And he's, extremely talented. So I think if Newcastle can stick it out and get their man, they certainly won't regret it, because, again, for the last couple of seasons I've been watching him, it's been absolutely superb.
Excellent. And look, Mark, I know you'll be happy with that Lee's talked about him being captain material. What better way to strip our current captain of his armband and give it to someone like Sven Botman, who is a leader. But to be fair, we've got a number of leaders now in the squad. Martin, I wanted to come to you. There's been, a lot of talk about, this saga's been going on too long. Sven Botman, he doesn't really want to come to Newcastle. He wants AC Milan. If he wants to go, let him go. Do we really discard a player that is potentially just being smart about his next move because it's such a big move in his next step? Can we discard a player, as Lee described, of his potential so easily in the stage that we're at?
No, I think the lure of Champions League football is massive. I can see that for any player, any young player. I'm sure from a Newcastle perspective, I would imagine that, and maybe Lee probably knows a bit more, but I would imagine the money that Newcastle are offering Lille is probably, certainly more than what Milan are putting up there. I think Milan are probably, not to coin an Ekitike phrase, but are probably slightly hamstrung in that I think some of the funding they're waiting for to do part of this deal is coming from their takeover or supposed takeover. So I think all the time that slows down, it puts us on a better footing to be able to get in there and get the man. I said when we looked at him in the January window and it fell through, I was not confident that this deal would happen. But I think one thing you have to say is that the owners of the club have stuck to their guns and gone after their man regardless. And I think that if you're a player and you see a club that just wants you and will do everything that they can to get you, it must be a nice feeling to be able to sit back and have those options. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter going, well, he knows what two clubs is, just make a decision. Look, he's a young kid. It's not easy making that choice. That's going to probably, I would imagine, at least a 4 or 5 year contract. But I think, as Lee said, you look at the club, I think if we get the right players, I think, might not necessarily be Champions League, but I think European football next season is a possibility for us as a club. And I think you would have to see that. So I think after certainly the last few days, I think it seems more optimistic that we get him. I can understand the deal's taking time. I think the other thing that we also need to take into equation is we're obviously trying to stick to a certain limitation of age of player, which is obviously the structure that Ashworth and the club are looking at, which is young players that are going to be with the club. So effectively, your Vincent Kompany, as we've said before about a Botman, he becomes our Vincent Kompany. That's with the club for 10, 12, 15 years, whatever it happens to be. So I can understand that. But the other thing that's going on is all these lads are playing under 21 football. So, until a lot of that's finished, you got reps who are all over the place. You got players who are playing and focused with their teams. Lads trying to make a decision on what's going to be the next 5-6 years of his career. I don't blame him for taking his time. Would I love to see us get him? Absolutely. Am I hopeful? Listen, when I see him on the pitch with a black and white shirt, I'll be a happy man.
I knew you were going to say something like that. It's always the same.
I can't commit to it because I said in January it wasn't going to happen. So if I say it is now, I'm going to look like a dick. So yeah, I'm going to stick to it. When I see him with a shirt, look, it's as Jordan said. Look, it's looking more hopeful, but there's still a bit to be done. But look, like any player, until they're on the pitch, and we see that here we go from Fabrizio, then there's still a bit to be done, I think. So, but yeah, look, he'd be a class act.
Definitely, and it's that it's these touched on it as well, and it's that kind of pull of the project. And look, Daz, I'll come to you. Like Sean Casey put a tweet out earlier on today, and it was the statement in which Sven Botman put out at the end of January, talking about how he was interested in the project and that he was keen to come and play in the Premier League for Newcastle United. Do you think that people are kind of just discarding all of that's been said too easily and forgetting that actually he was very keen on coming to the club in January? Are people forgetting that too quickly? And is it the case of actually, has he always wanted to come to Newcastle as a priority? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Okay, first point is Sean does put out a lot of tweets, and he is the freelance journalist after all. But yeah, look, I think the first statement you made on Botman answers it, Pete. The Italian media has gone mad talking about Botman in the last few days, and it's the stories popping up everywhere. And people are mentioning it in the chat as well. Just about everywhere. There's the stories popping up all over the place. It's very easy now. I imagine. For I'm not slagging off journalists here. I would have two of the guys on the screen, but it must be very easy though for if you don't have a story, write a Newcastle story, because there's like they could be potentially linked to anyone. So it throws things off in one way or the other. And again, this Botman saga, we talked about it on Tuesday night. We just need to get an answer one way or the other, and we can move on then. But yeah, we would love him. We've wanted him. I think at the end of when the transfer window was closed, the one we said we missed out on was Botman, and we wanted him in the summer. So hopefully we can get him over the line, and then we can move on and concentrate on other positions.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing, Pete, and I'll ask Lee and Jordan this question. Maybe in particular Jordan, does the situation in chasing Botman and getting the deal over the line become a bit easier for Newcastle now that Dan Ashworth is in place?
Yes, yes, absolutely. He officially started his job on Monday, and you've seen his impact this week. It's no coincidence that Isaac Hayden was out the door on Tuesday, I think it was, and Matt Targett was in the door on Wednesday. So, don't underestimate Dan Ashworth's impact. He has experience of negotiating transfers and is a very well-respected figure around Europe. As I mentioned, he's worked at the FA, did a great job at Brighton. So, to answer your question, yes, absolutely.
I think his pull power is massively, massively understated. Massively.
Yeah. No, couldn't agree more. It's I suppose a bit of a cliche, and we spoke about this last week, but in a way, Dan Ashworth probably is the biggest signing Newcastle made this summer for that exact reason, because his negotiation skills and deals, which are going to be difficult because Newcastle are going to attempt to sign players where the asking price is going to be absolutely extortionate. And I'm sure Dan Ashworth will go a long way to trying to sort of wiggle down the figure, if you like, or find a way to negotiate a deal where Newcastle can do it. He's made a massive impact already, and will do so throughout the next 12 weeks.
No, I think you're right, and there's been a few in the chat that have mentioned something similar about the impact of Dan Ashworth. It was a very slow couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden, as soon as he's come into the club, everything's just kind of flashed in. And look, Dougie Morris just put a comment in the chat and said, "Pete, are you the voice of Virgin Traffic?" No, I'm not. I apologise. When Virgin Traffic's on, I'm at work, so. If they're going to pay me to do it, I'm quite happy to do it. But I'm not.
He does do late night disco tracks on BBC Two, though.
No, Martin, you're the only one that does the late night.
I know,
the late
night tunes. Yeah, let's not get that out there.
Yeah, let's get it out there because it is outstanding.
No, do you know why? Because somebody will actually believe you, and I will get inundated with messages about weddings and birthdays. Yes, exactly. So let's not do that. Thanks very much,
DJ Marty.
Yeah. Definitely, but look, I'm mindful that we're 49 minutes in, and we've talked about 2 transfers and a couple of ins and outgoings. We've got lots and lots to talk about, but we've only got Lee for a short period of time, and I'm not going to keep him over the time tonight because I did that last week. I'm not going to do that again. However, there are a couple of different transfers that have been out there that you might be aware of, and I'm just going to throw one or two at you. So the first one is this. If I can find it, 1 second. I had it and then I lost it, which is really, really annoying. This was a surprise link for me. I don't know if you can see it on the screen.
Yep.
Okay, AS Roma have rejected a 50 million offer for Lorenzo Pellegrini. Newcastle are preparing a new offer for the Italian star. I mean, from your perspective, and I know obviously it's not French football, but I know you watch a lot of Italian football and you're very knowledgeable on that as well. What are your thoughts on that potential tracking of Lorenzo Pellegrini?
I would be incredibly surprised. Out of all of the transfers, I would be massively surprised if he was to switch Roma for Newcastle. Hugely. The reasons for that is because he is the next Totti. And what I mean by that is that he's born in Rome. He's literally, Roma through and through. He's the club captain, and he's not leaving Roma. He's a guy that will be there for the rest of his career. He's a hell of a player. Really, really good player. He's really come on a lot more since he's been given the responsibility of being captain of the club. Jose Mourinho will not want to lose him. He's arguably their key player. They function differently without him. But this is one that I can't see happening, in my honest opinion.
Okay. Jordan, have you heard anything about Lorenzo Pellegrini from your side of things as a potential target for Newcastle?
No, I agree with what Lee's just said. I'd be shocked if he was to sign for Newcastle or something. I think I've seen a comment in the chat before talking about, potentially agents trying to get their client out there. Not that, Pellegrini wants to leave Roma, but it does have a bit of a scent of that, trying to drum up sort of interest. So, I don't believe that's true for 1 minute. No disrespect to Italian newspapers or Italian sources, but I do doubt a lot of stories that come over from there. Just given, you look back to when the takeover first happened, and Newcastle were getting linked with massive names that were just never going to happen, and for me that's always sort of stuck in my mind. So I just don't see that happening at all.
No, it's I'll be honest, it was one that surprised me a lot, and I was, it wasn't one that I was expecting to see his link with in the summer. But terrific player as well. Another one, just on a small note, is that this man, Victor Osimhen, has been linked with Newcastle again. Was linked in January, been linked with again. Obviously, NUFC Gallagher tweeted this out, but it had come from another journalistic source, Carl Marcato, if I can pronounce that right, had said they've set the price for Osimhen. Strong interest from Bayern and Newcastle. Lee and Jordan, we'll start with Lee. What are your thoughts on Osimhen? Do you think he is going to make a move, and do you think he could potentially make that move to Newcastle?
It's a strange one with Osimhen, since he again, another player that came out of Lille. Napoli had to pay big money for him, around 80 million, for a player that had one decent season. Now he's done okay. Yeah, he's had his injury problems, but he's done okay. He's done pretty well. He's scored goals for Napoli, and this is definitely a player that can be, that Newcastle can get. The only issue I find with this is that I can't see Napoli letting him go for less than what they paid for him. I just cannot see that being the case. So if they paid 80 million for him, they're going to want something around the same kind of figure. Whereas if we're looking at Newcastle's transfer budget, they're going to be blowing majority of their transfer budget on Victor Osimhen. Is he a good player? Yeah, he's a good player. But for that kind of money, it wouldn't be a smart move. Not in my opinion.
Mark, you had something you wanted to discuss about Osimhen.
Yeah, literally before we came on, I got I got a bit of a tip, but I think there's something in this, and I wouldn't be surprised to see something happen.
Interesting. It's not the HP source, is it?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a very, very reliable source. Someone I would trust impeccably. No, and it ain't Sean Casey, is all I'll say. I'm not gonna go into more, but I have been given a heads up to say this is one really, really to watch closely. So yeah, I think there's something in it. So yeah, let's see. But that's where I got earlier on before coming on.
It's a strange one with Osimhen. it's like ever since he turned, he went to Napoli, he's been linked with a move away. Every year, he's been linked.
He scored for Nigeria tonight.
Really?
Yeah, he scored. They put Nigeria 2-1 up. Yep.
Look, there's no doubt he's a good player. He scores goals. If you're looking to, someone who's going to put the ball in the back of the net, he's your man. He's getting better and better.
14 and 27 or something, I think, last season.
Yeah, he's got a good goal scoring record. He has.
Yeah,
and again, he's had some difficult injuries. I think he did he fracture his eye socket, or he had a problem?
Yeah, he had the mask on for a good while.
He had the mask on for a while,
I think. Yeah,
if I remember rightly. Yeah. Look, if it comes off, it comes off. Newcastle are getting a great player. What would concern me more is what Napoli would ask for him, which would be very interesting to see against Newcastle's transfer budget.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if that has come about, and a bit more on that this evening, given anything around Ekitike. Ekitike is 19, Oshiman's 23. So, for around the age range that the club want, and it just might fit if the other one isn't going to work out. Possibly something to watch, at least. Let's see. Might come to nothing, but let's see.
One to watch, definitely, and this is why it's the Fully Loaded Transfer Show, because these things are moving parts, and one minute we look like the deal's dead, the next minute the deal's in play. It changes all the time. Now, Daz, I think you've got a question that I think we wanted to ask Lee last week, but we didn't get a chance to.
Exactly, yeah, and I remembered Lawrence put it in last week as well, so it'd be rude not to ask it for the second week in a row. So the question is, and we have about 30 questions started in the chat, so apologies, we're still not going to be able to get to all of them, but this one is for Lee. That's a PSG related question. So will PSG ever deal with Newcastle due to their respective owners?
Good question.
Possibly not. Just because of obviously the issues that have arisen before the takeover of Newcastle United, with Qatar, the issues with around the piracy. Possibly not. The same way PSG do not do any business with Manchester City either, and you'll find a lot of these state-run football clubs will kind of keep themselves to themselves and won't interact together. So I would be surprised. I can't see that happening. I think that unless it was on a free transfer or somebody became a free agent, then that's the only way I could see any deals being done between the clubs.
Okay, interesting. I've got some quick fire ones because we literally got a couple of minutes before we let you go. So got some quick fire ones for you, and it kind of like your response to that question kind of ruins my next point, because there was a link today, say today or maybe in the last 24, 48 hours with a potential move for Gini Wijnaldum, and I think it was more of an urge for Gini Wijnaldum to come back to Newcastle after his obviously spell at PSG. Now, we talked about this in January as a potential deal that was never really going to materialise in the end. But, in your opinion, in the way in which the club is set right now at PSG, do you think Wijnaldum has a future at PSG? Do you think he's going to get moved on? And if so, is he going to have a chance of coming to Newcastle? But I think we already answered that question.
I mean, going back to the previous question, the only reason I said that is because Nasser El Khelaifi is a very petty man. Okay, it's his way or the highway, and obviously, as you know, he's got the stake in beIN Sports, and with everything that happened previously, he's the kind of guy that would leave a grudge or have a grudge against Newcastle United, against the Saudis, and this is my reason as to why. I couldn't see him doing business with Newcastle. I might be wrong. Business is business at the end of the day, and money talks. And but it would surprise me. I think is probably the best answer I could give. Gini Wijnaldum, it's an interesting one, this, because obviously there's two ways this can go. And look, the ball's in Gini's court. He's had a terrible season, absolutely dreadful. It hasn't worked out for him. That's not to say it can't work out for him in the future. There's going to be a new manager in charge. There's going to be a new sporting director. The club's going in a completely different direction. You might see this next season as a new era. It's a new era at the club. So he has the opportunity to go back to the Premier League. I think one or two clubs have shown an interest, certainly in January. There's a chance that, he could go back to the UK. I think he wants to go back to the Premier League. I think that's something that, kind of sticks in his mind. I think he's very comfortable in England. We'll see what happens. But I think with him, I think he's still got a lot more to give. It would have hurt him not getting in the Dutch national squad for these Nations League fixtures, considering that, he was a huge part of the Netherlands World Cup squad at the Euros last summer. So to not get in the squad at all this time round for these Nation League fixtures would have really, really hurt him. So there's two ways it can go. He can sulk and say, right, I'm leaving. It's not working for him going, or he can put his finger out, which he hasn't done this season. And he can work hard to turn things around. So it could go either way. But as we know at the moment, it's difficult. So we don't know who the next manager is going to be yet. It could be Zidane, it could be Christophe Galtier, it could be, there's so many different options out there for the club. So until we know who that is and where Wijnaldum figures it within their plans, it's an interesting one. But certainly a move back to the Premier League, if it doesn't work out for him in Paris and he says, it's time to go back, he's definitely going to go back to the Premier League, for sure.
Okay. Excellent. Last couple from me before I let you go. I apologise. We're already 2 minutes over the time. I said I was going to let you go on. I'm awful with time. The Loaded Boys would agree to that. I'm awful with time.
Don't worry.
No comment.
Last couple. And Jordan, feel free to jump in if you know anything about any of these or you've got an opinion on it. Feel free to jump in as well. Links with Nicolo Zaniolo. Yeah. Zaniolo, yeah. So it says stance on Premier League transfer as a bid was rejected. So, look, there's been varying different reports on this player talking about he's always injured and that he's not worth the money. Some saying he's a supremely talented boy. He potentially plays on the right wing, which is an area we're looking to strengthen this summer. What do you know about him as a player? And do you think there's a chance that maybe Newcastle could get that deal done?
I think there's more chance of getting a deal for him done than there is for Lorenzo Pellegrini, for example. I think with this, I think Newcastle should hold off for another year to 18 months, purely because he's had 2 ACL injuries in 1 year, which is pretty horrendous. So he had an ACL injury in 2020. I think it was January 2020. He came back from it, and then he had another one later that year. So 2 in the same year. So he's had a lot of issues with his knees. He played a bit last season. He's come back. He's under Mourinho. Those of you that would have watched the Europa Conference League final would see he scored the winning goal that night against Feyenoord. Again, a good attacking midfielder. His form picked up towards the end of the season, and again, I'd be surprised in this window. I think there's other options that Newcastle should go for, smarter options. I think he will want to stay at Roma and build under Mourinho. I think it's a club that seems to be on the up, and I'd be surprised to see that one come off, but a lot more accessible than what Pellegrini would be. But as I said, there's definitely some question marks over his fitness, over his knees, and that for 50 odd million, I think it quoted 50 million. That certainly, if you're Newcastle United, that for me would be a risk.
Interesting. Anything from your perspective, Jordan? You heard anything?
No, the first I've heard of it is just then. So, yeah, look, for what you said there, it sounds extremely unlikely. And if he has to have injury problems to pay 50 million, which I doubt in the first place, but especially on a player like him would be a massive risk. So that's the thing with this transfer window. There's going to be a lot of apparently rejected bids, etc. Newcastle fans just need to try and cut out the noise and listen to people that you trust ultimately.
Yeah,
definitely. Last couple. A tentative link here, not a massive link, but there was a link with Rabiot with Newcastle potentially around the 20 million mark. Now, whether that's true or not, that's the only link that really we've seen with regards to Rabiot. So it might not be anything of anything at all. But we know that he hasn't really played a lot of football at Juventus and maybe looking for a move elsewhere. From your perspective, I think you've got an opinion on Rabiot because he was obviously at PSG for a period of time. What do you think about Rabiot as a player? Do you think he needs to move from Juventus? And do you think that a certain agent might scup at any move that could potentially happen?
Those that don't know too much about Adrien Rabiot, his mother is very difficult to work with. Veronique Rabiot, his mother, is she's very infamous in French football. She views her son as good as Messi, as good as Ronaldo, and she's very, very difficult to deal with. God help Dan Ashworth if he's having to conduct a deal with her. Look, he's a good player. He was a good player at PSG. He's talented. He really, really is. I don't think he's shown his best form in Juventus. He's done it in kind of spells. He was a lot better at PSG, but he didn't. His contract ran out at PSG just because they didn't want to sign another one because, PSG obviously had other players in midfield area and his mum wanted him to be like the first choice and wanted certain guarantees that the club couldn't give him. So we went to Juventus and, I know he's come in for a lot of criticism in Serie A since he's been there. A lot of people don't understand what his game's all about, don't understand why he's at Juventus. But I think that's also come at a time when Juventus are not in their best spell of form either. So from a Newcastle United point of view, could he be good for Newcastle? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It could be a move that would get him back on track. If that's the muted figures, 15 to 20 million, then he'd be worth a punt at that because, again, he's still got plenty of years to grow into a top quality player. And he's certainly got talent. There's no doubt about it. I think he just needs the right surroundings. He's a little bit moody. The biggest difficulties and the reasons why people why clubs stay away from Rabiot is his representatives. It's a problem. It's a huge, huge problem.
Interesting. Anything from you, Jordan? Heard anything?
He was actually a name that was given to me in January, but it's just never been concrete enough to run with it. I don't believe in the link, to be honest. I just don't think it makes sense for a lot of reasons. So he has been a player that's been mentioned, admittedly, but I just don't think that would happen. That's all I've got to add there.
No, like I say, it was a very tentative link. We haven't seen a lot about Rabiot to Newcastle, so it was important. We saw it. We thought it'd be great to bring it on and see what people think because it may well move within the window. Last one really from me with regards to the players is Lucas Paqueta. I think it's fitting that we end with a French-based player. Lucas Paqueta said he wants to leave Lyon. According to L'Equipe, Lyon want around 60 million euros for Paqueta. Since Juninho left the club, he's never quite been the same player, which I think you've alluded to, Lee, as well. Newcastle have been linked, but I'm told they haven't made a concrete approach. Lee, what are your thoughts about Paqueta? He's obviously clearly stating he wants out of the club, so it's looking like he's going to move this summer. Anything of an update with regards to Piquette or what your thoughts are regarding a move for him?
Yeah, it's no surprise that he wants to go. Look, Lyon have had a pretty terrible season. They ended up around mid-table, not even made Europe for a club the size of Lyon. One of the traditional French clubs they've not even made a European football, which is just for them is just completely ridiculous. But they've had a really, really awful season. And going back to that tweet from Robin there, where he's talked about, since Juninho, the sporting director, he left in January, he's gone back to Brazil. And yes, I guess some of his dip in form did come at that point, but I would probably more put that down to the fact that, Bruno Guimaraes, when he left for Newcastle, I think, that a lot of the good things that Lucas Paqueta did, would have come from Bruno Guimaraes. So, they work extremely well together. They're quite clearly good friends. They work fantastically well on the pitch as well. It would be a smart move for Newcastle to go for him, because I think he's a really, really solid player. If he was giving me a choice out of 80 million for Osimhen or 60 million on Lucas Paqueta, I'd pick Lucas Paqueta and go with Callum Wilson, up front instead of Victor Osimhen. That would certainly be my choice. And I'm not surprised he wants to get out of Lyon. The only thing that might go against it is, Lyon look like they're getting the band back together. They are obviously, they're getting Lacazette. Well, they've got Lacazette now, that's confirmed. It looks like they're going to secure the signing of Corentin Tolisso after his release from Bayern Munich. So they're going to get the old band. Yeah, they look like they're getting the band. Yeah, they look like they're getting the band back together. All of the ex-Lyon boys are getting back together again. So, I think that's their response to, such a dismal season for them. So we'll see kind of where it goes for Lyon. But I think that's Newcastle can get him. No doubt about that. I think Newcastle can. It's just whether that's a huge priority for Newcastle to blow quite a lot of their transfer budget on him. But look, he's a wonderful player. Didn't have the greatest end of the season, but something tells me he'd like to link up with Bruno Guimaraes again. And I think the only beneficiaries from that is going to be Newcastle United, because them two together are just a class act.
I just want to. I'm sorry, Daz. I've stole the comment there, but Michael Palmer, a friend of the channel, has put in about Paqueta really quickly. He's put, can Paqueta play in a front three, or is he more suited to a midfield three? He said he's assuming obviously we're going to play a 4-3-3 that we played a lot of last season. What are your thoughts on that?
Both. Yeah, he can play both. He can play both. Yeah, absolutely. So anywhere across the front line. So if you needed him as a almost like a false nine, you could play him in that position. If you want to play him a little bit deeper, you could play him in that position. It's ultimately a playmaker. So he can obviously make things happen, but he can finish so well. I mean, some of his, if you get yourself on YouTube and have a look at some of his goals this season, watch his goal against PSG back in January, actually set up by Bruno Guimaraes just before he left for Newcastle. If you watch that link-up play, the ball from Guimaraes to him, and the way he just drilled it in, you could see that they've got a real connection between them. So I'd love to see them get together at Newcastle. I think that it would be a really great move. But look, it's big money. It's a lot of money for him. But he's again another player that's only going to get better.
Excellent. Hopefully that lack of transfer fee on Lodi and getting targeting means that we've got a little bit extra money to play around with, and maybe we get Paqueta in. But just before you go, Lee, any players to look out for, French, Italian-based players, in terms of their moves, in terms of players to watch out for?
Yeah, it's quite quiet in France at the moment, to be honest with you. Usually there's a lot more speculation out there, but it's quite quiet. Everything's really quieting down. At the moment, a lot of this speculation really, in terms of movement, is just centered around Paris Saint-Germain off the pitch. But look, on the pitch, I think Newcastle were linked with Benoit Badiashile. Am I right, in January? The Monaco centre-back. He's, again, a really good centre-back as well. Someone to look out for. So if Newcastle were looking for an alternative to Sven Botman, that would be someone that I would certainly recommend. He's doing good things down in Monaco, and he'll be set for a move in the next year to 18 months. Really good prospect he is. Ludovic Blas at Nantes. I think he's been linked again with Newcastle in the past as well. He's a really, really good, solid midfielder, and he's somebody who certainly for Newcastle would be a potential good signing. That's it really. Again, I'm not quite sure what's going on in France at the moment. You know, all the transfer speculations coming from the Premier League. There's nothing coming from France. It's very, very quiet, and it's not usually like this. It's a bit strange, actually. A bit strange. Hopefully, when the fixtures come out, things will start getting moving again in France. But it's a very quiet time there.
Right, I'm going to let you stop talking because you're suffering with tonsillitis, and I appreciate you taking the time. And I've already said I would keep you to an hour, and it's an hour and 15 minutes, so I've already kept you a lot longer than I should have. And I keep doing it. But no, Lee, really appreciate your time on the show. Really appreciate your opinions, and hopefully there'll be movement on lots and lots of players in the next week. So hopefully speak to you soon.
What's on the menu for the weekend, Lee? What's on the menu?
Cowpole.
Deadly.
Not sure yet. We'll see. I'll keep posted.
Take care, Lee. Good luck.
Take it easy, Lee.
Guys.
Thanks, mate. Good luck. Hey, buddy. Take care. Be safe.
Love it. Great to to be fair, I'll be honest with you, and I said it to you guys before we came on. I didn't think Lee was going to make it tonight because he'd been in bed for 3 days. And he literally pulled himself out of bed to come and do the show for us tonight, which I really, really appreciate. And it just shows, the soldier nature, the soldier nature within the Loaded family. Lee's pulled himself out of bed. Martin's not been 100%. Daz is suffering with hay fever. I'm suffering with hay fever. Jordan's got a calf injury. we're all struggling, but yet
we're all past the medical.
Yeah,
we definitely fail the medicals.
100%. But what I want to say is that during the first hour and 20 of the show, there's been around at least at its highest point, 680 in the chat, which is amazing. Amazing to have so many viewing tonight, and it's popped up a few times. If you haven't yet subscribed to Loaded Mag NUFC, click that subscribe button, become a member. If you choose to. We are on the march to 5K. Less than 400 to go to hit the 4K. So we are well on the way to reaching our target. And come and join the family. As you can see tonight, with Jordan and Lee, Mark, Daz, we've got guys that love Newcastle United or have knowledge about Newcastle United or have knowledge about the players that are going to come potentially to Newcastle United. And it's been a great chat already. And we've
Pete. We've been hearing the bad times. We might as well stick around for the good times. So
there you go.
Look, I think that's the thing. This is what makes us different. Is it's great doing a transfer show, but you have to have the info to back it up.
Yeah.
It's great talking about players, but if you've got a little something that you can talk about, goal stats, few bits and pieces to throw it in, it generates people's interest. I mean, there's 640, 680 there watching there right now. So, listen, if you want to listen to these shows and you want to get the lowdowns and the inside information from two of the best journals out there and us three sitting rambling, then this is the place to be on a Thursday night listening to us.
Definitely 100%. And you know what, there was one that I've just realized that I might need to call him to come back up because I've not even had a chance to even discuss it with you guys at all, but we'll come to it next. And it was the link with Nathan Ake. Lee wrote the piece for Mail Online, and he's not even on to talk about it. And I can't believe I let him go without even discussing it with me. But yeah, look, this generated a lot of talk over the course of the last few days when the piece was made on the 5th of June, and it was it obviously it was a reporting piece. It initially came out in the Sun, and it was basically saying that if Newcastle United were to inquire or go in for Nathan Ake, that Man City would demand the best part of £50 million in order for them to take him away. They're saying that the £80,000 a week that he's on currently wouldn't be an issue to Newcastle United. We know that there are links there with the manager and players that are currently at the club. It got a lot of negative responses that we obviously talked about on Twitter, myself personally, and the Loaded Boys back me up on this, but we move on. Look, Jordan, from your perspective, when that link came out with Nathan Ake, what was your overriding thoughts on that? Did you know anything, or do you know anything about this potential link?
Yeah, well, the link is no surprise given that Eddie Howe signed him for Bournemouth for quite a sizable fee. I think at the time it was about 20 million pounds. I think Bournemouth forked out for Nathan Ake, which is obviously quite a big fee for a club of Bournemouth size. But they sold him on for 50 million. Eddie Howe inherited a decent centre half and made him one that was signed by probably one of the world's best teams in Manchester City. So there's no surprise that Eddie Howe has inquired about Nathan Ake. But as I say, for 50 million pound, is that a good deal for Newcastle? Personally, I don't think so. I don't doubt that he's a great centre half, but I just think 50 million pound is just totally overpriced. So unless Man City were to lower their demands, which I doubt because they've got no reason to sell him, they don't have to sell him. They're under no financial pressure to do so. I think he'll probably stay at Manchester City. But he's a top centre half, and Eddie Howe knows him really well. But I just don't think it's one that's going to happen. Say the £80,000 a week wages mentioned there would actually be good to Newcastle because it wouldn't blow the wage structure out of control. Much as because I think they want to keep it really the average wage below £100,000 a week. They don't want to blow the wage structure at all because you can end up upsetting current players. So they want to try and keep that sort of even at this moment. So Ake would be ideal for that set wage. But yeah, the transfer fee, I just don't see Newcastle paying that. You could look at potential loan to buy, but again, Man City are not going to loan out the player because they've got no reason to do so. So I think, yeah, he's a player that would be of interest to Eddie Howe, but I just don't see how the transfer would come to fruition at this moment in time. There'd have to be a lot of work on the transfer fee, and it'd have to be reduced significantly. But you lads will probably agree it would be a good signing, but I think for the price, probably a bit too high, isn't it? I don't know what you think about that.
He wouldn't be one that would be on my list. I think not that he's not a good player. I'm sure. Look, he'd definitely be an upgrade, but I don't think for that kind of money, it wouldn't be somebody I'd be wanting to getting a name on a contract. Jordan, if I was honest, I think there's probably better out there for lesser fees. I think Botman being one, Bader Shield another one. So there's definitely better players out there for better fees.
What I would say there as well is there's this thing where Eddie Howe likes a right-footed centre half and a left-footed centre half and a two. They've already got Dan Burn, and for me, Dan Burn, I thought at the start really was signed as sort of a 6-month deal, if you like, £15 million. I didn't see Dan Burn playing many games beyond the summer, but I think for the 6 months that Dan Burn's played at Newcastle, he's more than earned his place for next season. He certainly surprised me with his performances. So I think the priority as a centre half would be to sign a right-footed centre half as well. So Nathan Ake, a good player, but I think really probably a non-starter for several financial reasons, and maybe even a footballing reason as well, because as I say, Eddie Howe would prefer to go and sign a right-footed centre half.
Yeah, Paul, Pete, and myself on Tuesday night, we said pretty much the same thing. He'd be well down the list, and you'd be talking 25 is even. I don't know. Don't even want to pay 25 for him. So no, and I think we possibly ruled it out as well. So I think it's more paper talk than anything else. Yeah. So no, and we said Lee didn't actually come up with the link. He just commented on it in his art.
Yeah. That was it. He just reported on the link that it came from the Sun, and that was it. And sometimes as a journalist, and look, Jordan, you'll know this more than I do, but sometimes you have people that break the news and break the exclusives, but you'll also have journalists that just report on news and report on things that are going on. Am I wrong in that, Jordan, or is that right?
No, you're absolutely spot on. Given social media now, you do find a lot of journalists that would say for example, there is a story in the Sun. You'd write that and credit the story to the Sun. You wouldn't write as your own story, but you would say, look, this is what the Sun have said. That's what happens quite a lot in journalism now. So obviously Lee's done that, and fair enough. He's credited where it came from, and he's wrote the story for the Daily Mail. It's nothing. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. Just the way journalism is now, just given how big social media is. Lots of stories popping up. Places like the national newspapers tend to use other people's stories as well, just for to generate interest on their website. So it's nothing unusual, no.
Yeah. And look, Lee writes for the Mail, and obviously does a few bits for TalkSport as well, and Ligue 1 as well. He still writes for them, but ultimately he knows, and he knows him very well. Craig Hope, he's the one that breaks exclusives for Newcastle, and rightly so, because he's based in Newcastle. So they know each other and are very aware of the situation. And I think people read into that article a little bit too much, and maybe kind of protected their original source, which is Craig Hope. But Craig Hope is a fantastic journalist and breaks some fantastic news, and we all know that as well anyway. But we'll move on from Ake. I do think if that deal is going to happen, it means that Sven Botman doesn't sign for Newcastle, and it means that later on in the window we are going to look at picking up a player. I don't think it'll be at 50 million. Just for my 2 pence on this, I think if we get him, it'll probably be on a loan with a view to buy, and that'll be towards the end of the window. Man City have already made it clear that they would like him to stay, but if he left, they wouldn't stop him leaving. So it would have to work for both clubs. So we'll see how that goes. But look, there are a hell of a lot of deals going on, and have a lot of discussions. Now, look, this one is slightly left field that I'm going to come to you guys next with. And look, we're building nicely. We've got lots of links. We're not going to get through them all tonight. Nowhere near.
I've got loads of questions as well.
and there are a few questions, but there's one deal that just keeps being discussed on various corners of social media. So I wanted to bring this to you now. Whether it happens or not is another thing. But this man is attracting a lot of interest at the moment. Mr. Gareth Bale. Now, there was a conversation around Gareth Bale, and ESPN UK touched on it. He was asked the question, where will you see Gareth Bale next season, or will he postpone his retirement? And he said, he's looking to push it back a little bit longer. There's been a few links here and there with Gareth Bale with Newcastle United, but honestly, can we see that move happening? Can we see Gareth Bale in a Newcastle shirt? Look, I'm going to open up the floor to any of you to have this discussion, because it could go anywhere, this Gareth Bale discussion. So what do you think? Can this deal actually happen?
Logistically, if you take Jordan's piece on the wage structure, you would say no, because you would think he would want a fairly hefty wage packet. However, if you structured it in a way, i.e. linking him into Saudi Golf and all the other things, and he was some sort of role on a pay-as-you-play, and you were looking at the club from a point of that Middle Eastern piece of somebody that you could put into that green and white jersey that could sell the superstar name in a black and white jersey, or in the green and white jersey, in particular in the Middle East, then Bale is a player that you would bring in. Listen, he does what he does for Wales. He took his goal well the other night. I still think he has something as a player. I still believe he has something as a player. Would he be a permanent starter? Absolutely not. But would you take him on a pay-as-you-play or some kind of deal linked to not necessarily a high wage, but a percentage of shirt sale or face on something that he gets something through promotion rights and everything else? Then absolutely, I think there's a commercial deal there that could be good for him and good for us. 86 minutes to go, you get a free kick. Would you bring him on to take it? Well, sure I would, because chances are he'd stick it away. So is there a high wage deal to be done playing every game? Absolutely not for me. Is there a commercial deal to be done? Put him in a green and white away shirt and stick him in the Middle East and play a few rounds of golf with Yasser? Absolutely, there's a deal to be done, I think.
Yeah, just jump in there. Martin's spot on with the commercial side of it. So, you sign Gareth Bale, he is the poster boy for Newcastle. You sign him on a year's contract. Okay, his wages might be high, but you almost earn that back in shirt sales, because Newcastle sign a player like of Gareth Bale's caliber and profile, would see shirt sales go through the roof. I have no doubt that if Gareth Bale was to sign for Newcastle tomorrow, there'd be lines of people outside the club shop waiting to get his name printed on the back. So you can look at it from a commercial sense, but from a playing point of view, is it the right move? I don't think so, because Gareth Bale has struggled with injuries over the last sort of few years, if you like, and he's got a World Cup on the horizon. So his ultimate ambition in football now is to play in that World Cup for Wales. So if Newcastle were to do a deal, they almost get, in a sense, a half-arsed Gareth Bale, because he's so scared of not getting injured. So he's so scared of getting injured that he feels like he can't put it all in, because he doesn't want to miss that World Cup. So Martin's spot on from a commercial point of view. Yes, from a playing point of view, I'd argue not. But it's an interesting one. That one, it is an interesting link. I wouldn't completely rule that out, but I do doubt that it would happen. It's a very, very interesting link. But as I say, with the World Cup on the horizon, I wouldn't personally sign him, because I would doubt I doubt he'd be at full capacity.
Yeah, I think the thing is, obviously, the other rumor is, that Cardiff are looking at him, and I think there's a commercial piece there to be done for them, but they don't have those other country links that Newcastle would have, i.e. in the Middle East, in Saudi, in Dubai, and other places. So, look, he's definitely not going to play. I know there's people in the chat there going, him versus Trippier and free kicks. Again, is he a player gets 2-3 games, 4 or 5 games over a season, isn't going to, as you said, Jordan, doesn't really want to get injured. But from a commercial based point of view, to generate that revenue and get the club into a certain stratosphere in the Middle East, I think it's a deal the club would look at. I genuinely do.
I'm going to answer the question from the other way, because we've answered it before. Do you think the benefits? Yeah, could bring. I'm going to bring from. I'm thinking back to, is it about 2.5 years ago now, when the takeover was started, mentioned first, and we're linked to Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale was the number one person that we're going to bring into the club. At that stage, I was thinking, do I really want him though? If I could have any in the world, do I really want him? And I was kind of on the fence a bit. And now, fast forward 2.5 years later, and okay, the lads are saying in the chat that he's 32 and stuff. I don't think he has that pull anymore. Like Jordan, you mentioned about the BAQ at St James's Park to get his name in the back of the jersey. I don't think so. In Newcastle they would. I think the people would want other players in the back of the jersey. Maybe in foreign countries where he is a bigger name, and they wouldn't know so many players, and they can instantly relate to Bale coming from Real Madrid. But I don't really want him. If he turns up, we'll support him, of course, and everything like that. But I don't really want him for what we're doing now. That's all I really want to say on that.
So Daz is
look, Bale.
Shelby has more of a shirt pull than Gareth Bale. There you go. You heard
it. Bruno does.
It's a difficult one. It's a really
it's a tough question
it's a tug. It's a tug in every direction with regards to Gareth Bale, because, you know, we're Newcastle United and where we're looking to go. You know, you would want a player like Gareth Bale with his stature, everything you talked about, Martin, with his stature, with his appeal, with his, you know, shirt pull in terms of finances, all the rest of that, Saudi Golf, the lot. It's a no-brainer in terms of bringing him in. But he couldn't even last 90 minutes playing for Wales. And it's just like, you know, the talent's there. And like I said on Tuesday, I'm not going to go into it now. I just said, what is his motivation? What is Gareth Bale's motivation? Eddie Howe's building a team on players that are hungry, that want to achieve the next step, that want to build in this project and have got the right mentality for this squad of players. I just question whether he has that mentality. The abilities, without question. He's one of my favourite players to watch over the last 10 years. He's been unbelievable. But I struggle to find a reason why he would want to come to Newcastle United, because I don't think he'd want to come to Newcastle United for the reasons why Bruno Guimaraes comes to Newcastle United, why Dan Burn comes to Newcastle United, Kieran Trippier. People might argue it, but Sven Botman. They can see the project. They can see the build. They can see where we're going to go. I struggle to see that Gareth Bale comes to Newcastle United for those reasons.
I totally agree, mate. I 100% agree, and that's why I said for me, it's not. It's purely commercial. Purely commercial.
Yeah, and it's a great point. And at this stage right now, for the ownership, commercial is a good thing. It's a good thing to build that up. So, you know, it's one of those things.
I think that's because that ownership, maybe not necessarily certain parts of the ownership, but I think there is a level of the ownership, probably Middle Eastern based, and they would love to see Gareth Bale there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. One player that's not going to be wearing black and white, it seems to think, is James Tarkovsky. He's making that move to apparently Everton for £120,000 a week.
Mugged off.
Ooh, Jesus Christ!
Let's hope Jordan Pickford's not carrying it out to him.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he won't be able
to keep a hold of it.
Yeah.
What did you call him, Pete?
Timmy Chocolate Wrists. If anyone lets a clanger in like he did against Germany, and there's been many a goalkeeper, Timmy Chocolate Wrist, David James is also known as Calamity James, is well known for being a Timmy Chocolate Wrists. If you just let the ball go through your hands as easily as Jordan Pickford did against Germany, then you are Timmy Chocolate Wrist, because that's just my little saying there. However, I do want to touch on a player that's coming to Newcastle that we haven't really yet talked about, that maybe Daz knows a little bit more about than anybody else. And it's the youngster, Alex Murphy, coming to Newcastle United, making that move. Is it from Galway United?
Yeah.
Is that right?
So from Galway United, he was playing first team for Galway United. I read the articles, the thread that I shared with a few people going back about 2 weeks ago. Now I forget half it, but I know he came from comes from Annadown originally, which wouldn't be about half an hour from where I live. Best of luck to him moving. It's a big move over to Galway. I think he can play centre back or kind of left back kind of role. And he hasn't turned. He's 18 yet. I think it's Sean had mentioned he might be sitting the Leaving Cert at the moment. The Leaving Cert is on, and the state exams is on in Ireland at the moment. So he's probably sitting that, and then heading over to Newcastle to start his career. And best of luck to him. Be great to see a Galway man representing the Newcastle on the pitch. So we'll see how it goes.
Exactly. Now, I owe an apology to young Daz Shocks there in the bottom, because somebody asked about Alex Murphy last night on Twitter, and Daz put something up, and I cheekily off the back of it said that Daz lives next door to him, and him and his missus drink with Alex Murphy's mum and dad, and it kind of took off a little bit. So I must apologize to Daz because I did try to set Daz up as being Alex Murphy's next door neighbour, and that they go out drinking together. So yeah, sorry for that, Daz.
No hassle. No, but that thread and if anyone wants to hear more about actually, DM me and I'll send you on that thread because there's a lot of detailed information in there about him if you're interested.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. It'll be one that we keep a close eye on. Jordan, have you heard much about Alex Murphy? Obviously, the deal that's already been done and he's coming in to the development stage.
Yeah, just thought he was really, really highly rated in Ireland, and I think he's versatile. He can play at right back and centre half. I believe he's played most of his games with, I thought it was Galway, but is it Galway, is it?
It's Galway, yeah. That's where I'm from Jordan.
Yeah, I was going to say Galway, but yeah, Galway. Yeah, played most of his games at right back, but to play senior level at 17 years of age, even if it is sort of no disrespect to the Irish league, but even if it is at that level, it's still an impressive thing to do. So you'll come over here now, and for an academy player coming over to Newcastle now, it's a lot more exciting than it was a year ago, because you're going to come into facilities that are going to be upgraded over the next year, hopefully with the upgrades to the training ground. There's going to be investment into the academy, so yeah, it's a great move from him, and I'm glad he's chosen Newcastle, because, as I say, probably if you're looking this year ago, I doubt that Newcastle could attract a highly rated player like him. But it's just the way the club's heading now. Plenty of ambition, plenty of investment. So yeah, good luck to him. I believe he'll link up with the under 23 straight away, which is he's still only 17, turns 18 later this month. There's not many players in the 23s that are 18, so he must be highly thought of. So yeah, fingers crossed he can progress well. Can save Newcastle maybe I'll say £50 million in a couple of transfer windows time if they've got a ready-made centre half to drop straight into the team.
Yes, I think centre back, left back. He might take over from Target when he's on the way out. Never know.
Lads, I got a split.
Yeah,
a couple of bits there to pick up on. So, boys, I will catch you later. Jordan, always good to see you, mate. And nice to be back on again. So, thanks for all the comments from the chat. Everyone who be wishing me well, very much appreciated. So, I'll slide away. I'll catch you boys later on.
No worries.
See you later,
no worries, guys. Talk soon.
Take care. Great to have Martin on. Always great to have him back in the chat. But look, one of the things that we love to do, and we're going to finish on tonight, is taking a few questions from the chat. And there are a lot. So we'll try and get through as many as we possibly can. And actually, it may well link into a few of the links that we have with Newcastle United at the moment that we haven't yet talked about. There are so many. So some of the links that we haven't yet discussed might well come up in this conversation. So it might be worth keeping an eye on this one. But Daz, what have you got for us in terms of comments?
Yes, there's only I've only 30 stars, Pete. So we'll do quick fire. How about that? We'll try quick fire.
Yeah, you definitely ain't going to get through them all, but yeah, let's go through the best ones in a quick fire process.
There's one or two about Dean Henderson. What's the story there now, Jordan? I know it's kind of gone quiet on him. I know there's other options being looked at, and then the kind of people are saying with Dan Ashworth coming in, that has he changed tact? Thoughts?
Yeah, the goalkeeping position's just been put on the back burner. Essentially, there's other positions being prioritised. So I do doubt at this moment in time that Dean Henderson will come to the football club, but it could be a deal that they revisit towards the end of the transfer window. You could find yourself in a position where Manchester United are desperate to get rid of the player in a way because he's so keen to go out and play regular minutes. He's not going to do that at Manchester United. So, there may be, in a few months become a possible outcome where Newcastle signed Dean Henderson on loan with a view to permanent, but at this present moment, I don't think that deal will happen anytime soon. Possibly at the end of the transfer window, but I do doubt that he'll sign for the football club at this moment. Anyway.
Cool.
In addition to that, sorry, Daz, 1 second. Yep. In addition to that, there was a little tentative link out there today. What in the last couple of days? I've lost it now. Typical me.
There was one today about Sommer.
Yeah, that was the one.
33-year-old goalkeeper. Is playing somewhere in Germany, I think. To me, he's on. I know goalkeepers can play on towards even 40, but he just seemed a bit too old. I'd rather go for someone younger. And I think he's on a free. He's only 12 months left in his contract.
Yeah, so it's just here. It's obviously NUFC blog .co.uk. They've kind of taken the link from Alex Crook, who is linked to TalkSport. Make of that what you will. Newcastle Orion, Switzerland goalkeeper and friend of Fabian Shaw, Jan Sommer, after calling their interest in Dean Henderson. How wants a ball-playing goalkeeper to compete with Martin Dubravka, and Sommer has 12 months remaining on his contract at Borussia Mönchengladbach. Look, I'll throw this to both of you, Jordan and Daz. Is this a credible link? Is this something that you've heard, Jordan? 33 years old, same age as Martin Dubravka. Is this the kind of deal that we'd be looking to get at Newcastle United?
For that age, you'd probably presume he would be a backup, but that's not what Newcastle are looking for. They're looking for a goalkeeper that's going to take Martin Dubravka's place, and they want a sort of a young goalkeeper that can grow with the football club. So Jan Sommer at the age he is, probably is a good experienced goalkeeper, but I just
Frozen Jordan.
Yeah,
so yeah, lads.
Yeah, go here now, Jordan.
Yeah, we can hear you. Carry on.
Can hear you, Jordan. Oh no, he's
gone. We'll get Jordan back with the Jan Sommer, but just until Jordan comes back, it was really interesting because from my perspective, I was of the same kind of mindset as Jordan is that like I assumed we were looking at a goalkeeper that was going to be coming in to take on the number one position, not necessarily be a backup. So, and I see Jan Sommer as a backup. I don't see us going and buying a 33-year-old goalkeeper to be a replacement for Martin Dubravka. That's just not how I see it. But look, Jordan, but before you disappeared slightly, you were talking about as you were saying about the fact that you didn't think that Newcastle were looking to buy a goalkeeper to be a second in command, and that's how I would see Jan Sommer. But are you of the same mindset?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I'm not sure what point I cut off at, but I think Newcastle are looking to recruit a goalkeeper that is a younger age and a goalkeeper that can grow with the football club. And I suppose these days 33 years of age for a goalkeeper isn't that old, because goalkeepers can play longer than sort of the average age. But it just doesn't strike me as a deal that Newcastle would look to do. They're looking to find someone that will take Martin Dubravka's place, and for me, Jan Sommer isn't that. I don't doubt that he's a good goalkeeper, an experienced goalkeeper, but just doesn't fit the criteria, I feel like. As I say, the Newcastle want a younger goalkeeper, so that's what I expect them to go for. Don't know. Say if Newcastle ought to go and sell a Caldolo, do they get in contact with Jan Sommer, and he's happy to sort of battle Martin Dubravka for the number one spot possibly, but it just doesn't make sense just given his age.
I would agree with you. Definitely, it was a bit of a shock to me, if I'm honest, that I saw that link. I've never been a massive Jan Sommer fan, if I'm honest with you, throughout the years. So to see him link Newcastle, it was almost a bit more of that type of response. And I don't want to be like that with a goalkeeper. because we don't necessarily need to replace a goalkeeper. I was asked a question. I was on the 12th Man podcast with Dan Potts, who's an Arsenal fan, incredibly knowledgeable football fan in general about Newcastle and other clubs. But I was asked a question, and it was like, even with the Dean Henderson kind of links, it was like, do you really need to replace Martin Dubravka right now? And it's a genuine question, and that's a question from somebody that doesn't support Newcastle. And they were saying, well, Martin Dubravka had a good last 6 months. Do you really need to replace him? And ultimately, I don't know what you guys think, Daz, Jordan. I don't think we necessarily need to, but I talked about the spine of the team and looking ahead and being forward thinking, and that was kind of my mentality. But Yang Sommer doesn't really scream to me forward thinking. What are your thoughts, Daz? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think the goalkeeper spot is the number one position that needs to be fixed. But we need someone to challenge Dubravka. I'd like to see bring in someone younger. We started talking about goalkeepers, and the chat blew up again with loads of different options and suggestions. Even the Man City keeper Gavin Bazuma, that was at Portsmouth, I think, the Irish lad, as an option. I know Sean Casey rates him as well. But yeah, I wouldn't. When I saw that link today, I looked at him and go, I've never seen him play somewhere, but I said 33. I don't want him. I'd rather Dubravka, no matter how good he is. I probably would rather Dubravka, but I do want someone to challenge Dubravka. But I want a younger keeper to do that, and that's why Henderson ticks the box in that space, and it gives him a chance to work his way into a World Cup squad and potentially into the number one spot, because he only has to get past Jordan Pickford and Aaron Ramsdale as well. He's good, yeah, that's just it's not doesn't need to be now. We can keep going, but if we are going to ship off Woodman and Darlow, then we need to bring in someone, but not a 33-year-old.
Definitely. And look, Shane Mawson, I don't know what time it is in Australia, Shane, but you are an absolute legend. You always tune into this channel whenever we're on.
You get up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, it must be early doors for you. But Shane is an absolute warrior. He's a soldier, just like the rest of us tonight being on the show with illnesses and injuries. He's always here to support us. And he says, go for Costa at Porto. A very, very, very good goalkeeper, and one to keep an eye out on. That is for sure. And there's another goalkeeper that's also been mentioned, and Simon Davies has talked about him as well. And it's a guy I like a lot, and that's Sanchez at Brentford. Now, look, we've taken it. Brentford goalkeeper. I think you mean Brighton goalkeeper. Yeah, we've taken a lot from Brighton already. I don't know whether they would allow us to take somebody else from Brighton, but Sanchez from Brighton would be a very, very good option. And I think Life Goals had mentioned somebody else as well. And he talked about Bryce Samba from Forest. Now, if nobody's aware of Bryce Samba, if you'd have seen him in the playoffs, fantastic penalty saves, had a great season for Nottingham Forest. You would ask the question, well, like Brennan Johnson, he's going to go up to the Premier League with Nottingham Forest, and he's going to play regular football for them. However, he's got a year left on his contract, and he said this summer he wants to leave. He doesn't want to stay at Nottingham Forest. So that surprised Nottingham Forest. Now, he does have 12 months left on his contract, but he's come out this summer and said he wants to leave. He doesn't want to renegotiate a contract. He wants to leave. He wants to move on. I don't know what people's thoughts are in the chat about Bryce Samba, whether you've
28.
28 years old, good keeper, very agile. Again, I don't know I don't know if you've seen much of him, Jordan. I don't know what your thoughts are on Samba, but he is a goalkeeper that has had a good run, albeit not in the Premier League.
Yeah, I watched the playoff semi-final win over Sheffield United, and I think he saved 3 penalties. But to be honest, I don't know a lot about about the player. I know the profile that he had ideally would want would be like a ball playing goalkeeper as well as a good shot stopper. I'm not sure if Samba is. I'm happy to be corrected in the chat 'cause I haven't seen too much of him, but I don't think he fits the profile, to be honest. I've seen the links that was not being linked with for move to France. I don't know if he's played there previously. So yeah,
he's played. I was just doing a bit of research on him there. He's played for Le Havre, Marseille, Nantes, and Cannes as well. Surprised to hear that he has never scored a goal for any of those clubs.
But to be fair, there's been a few times I watched them last season. I covered a Middlesbrough game and he was playing for Nottingham Forest at the time. He actually made an error on that game as well. So, I mean, every goalkeeper's got errors in them, but I don't know if he's had a few more than the average goalkeeper. But a link that obviously clearly will likely leave Nottingham Forest this summer, but to Newcastle, no, probably not. No.
Yeah, and there's been talk in the chat that I think Large Goal said, I believe that Pope has a release clause of 20 million. Again, that's another option. Lots and lots of options there of a goalkeeping position, not necessarily a priority, but again, a good talking point. We've already talked about 3 or 4 good goalkeepers that could potentially come in over the course of the summer. But look, we haven't got long left. And we're definitely not going to get through the questions now because I can see 31 starred, and we're definitely not going to get through them right now. But
I got rid of the ones
let's say 3 or 4 really good questions from what you can see, Daz, in the chat.
Yeah. Okay, this one will be quick because it was about Hayden from earlier, and it's about the fee, the obligation to buy fee. Any details on that, Jordan?
No, sorry, I'm not sure on a fee. To be honest, I don't think it'll be that much. I'd guess at probably 7 to 8 million. To be honest, I don't think it'll be above 10 million.
Cool. Sorry, I never put up the questions, but that was the gist of 2 of them. There's one about any news on John Joe Shelby, or I suppose in general, any outgoing and more outgoings that like was Hayden going was a surprise to us. But are you hearing any rumors of anyone on the way out?
Yeah. So with John Joe Shelby, I know he's keen to be playing regular football next season. Will he get that at Newcastle? I don't know. I think with Sean Longstaff signing a new contract, he's going to be promised some kind of game time. You've then got Joe Linton, who's obviously emerged as a central midfielder, and you've got Bruno, who will start no matter what. So, I think John Joe Shelby will stay at the football club, but I think if an offer was to come in for John Joe Shelby, Newcastle would probably consider it. Say it was to be in the region of £15 million, but then you ask the question, who would pay £15 million for John Joe Shelby? Obviously, there's been links to West Ham in the past, but I think that's probably sailed given how West Ham became a sort of a top 6 team over the last couple of years. Do you look at maybe teams coming up? The Nottingham Forest have £15 million to spend on John Joe Shelby. The Fulham, possibly. So for that reason, I think he will stay at Newcastle next season, but I don't think his game time's guaranteed next year at all. To say Bruno's the man to beat now in that position, and obviously you've got Joe Linton, and I think Sean Longstaff will probably be given more of a run out next season as well, given he's just signed a long-term deal with the football club.
Just on a deal with an outgoing, I just want to touch on this right now. It's Dwight Gale has been talked about. Obviously, with Hayden going out the club, there was a lot of talk, and Alex Crook as well, and he wasn't the only one that touched on Dwight Gale could be the next NUFC departure, and Middlesbrough as a potential destination for Dwight Gale. Have you heard anything with regards to that? Dwight Gale moving out, it makes sense for that to be the next deal, but I think we've been saying that for the last 2 or 3 years, is it makes sense for Dwight Gale to move out. But is that something that could potentially happen?
Yeah, I'd be shocked if Dwight Gale is to survive this summer. Never say never, mind, because as I say, we've had these conversations before where we think Dwight Gale's going to leave, and we had this conversation last summer. He ended up getting a new 3-year contract. So I don't think he will survive this summer. And but I think what Newcastle have to do is they'll probably have to kind of in a way give him away, because his wages are quite high. He isn't the the £15 million Championship centre forward that Newcastle could have sold him for a few years ago, because he hasn't scored a goal in about 18 months, hasn't played much football. So the next team that takes Dwight Gale in a way is taking a little bit of a risk. I've no doubt once he gets a run of games, he'll start scoring goals again in the Championship. In Middlesbrough, yeah, probably the perfect destination for him, because it means he wouldn't have to move from where he is now, which is obviously based in the northeast himself. So, Middlesbrough seems like the perfect destination for the player. Where that will be Middlesbrough, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty certain that Dwight Gale will leave the club before the window is out.
Okay, and Dad, I'm going to nab this off you right now.
Yeah, cool.
No more questions for tonight. We'll take them next week in our show. But I just want to get people's thoughts, and in particular yours and Jordan's thoughts on the new kit that came out, that was unleashed, shall we say, to the Newcastle United fans. Obviously, Fun 88 are going to be our new sponsors for the next season only. It looks like we've negotiated there for the last year. We can see Bruno, Trippier, ASM, and one or two representatives from the women's team representing the kit. Also, as always, Daz works his magic. He's already got Sven Botman wearing the kit before he's even wearing the kit. But more importantly, our number 9, Callum Wilson, the legend, the main man, wearing the Newcastle United kit. What do you boys think of the kit as it's been released?
I like it. I'll be buying it. And I'll be buying it from the club shop. I 2 years ago I went to DH Gate to get my kit, because I wasn't giving Mike Ashley any money. Last year, DHK lost my shirt twice, so I'm never going back to them again. But I now that the takeover's gone through, we can give money to the club shop. So yeah, I'm gonna buy it from there. But yeah, look, I'm gonna get, when I originally saw it a couple of weeks ago, the potential would turn out to be the one. The round neck, I wasn't too gone on, but I've come to like it, and I see the significance behind it now as well. But also looking forward to see what the away kits do eventually look like as well. I imagine they're going to be as we saw. But then I suppose there's the question about the Fun 88 and the on the green and white one, and will that lead to not as big a seller as it could potentially be if it was another sponsor? But that's a different question. But yeah, I do like it, Pete.
Jordan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it, to be honest. Obviously, it was the kit that was leaked, but when the kit was leaked, it was out the sponsor. And usually, as the sponsor did last year, sort of ruined the kit because it created a massive number 4 on the home kit. But this year it doesn't. I don't think the sponsor spoils the kit at all. I like how the sponsor's blue, and also the Castor logo matches it as well. So yeah, big fan of the kit. When I got wind of the kit on it was Tuesday night, I think, before it got released on the Wednesday, and I seen Fun 88 was on the front. I expected a bit of a negative reaction, given there was potential other sponsorship promised. But as you would have seen from Mark Douglas's story, I think this is the last season of Fun 88 as the club's main sponsor on the front of the shirt. So next summer we'll see a new sponsor, and obviously everyone can go off now and speculate who it's going to be, like they did over the last few weeks. Definitely.
And if you haven't seen Mark Douglas's article, friend of the channel, it's a great article, and it talks about obviously wrapping up the contract in the next year. I think it was going to run for another 2 or 3 years, but they've cut it short to be able to move it on. And that's with the mindset that we're going to sign a potential big sponsorship at the end of next season. And with our club moving forward, that's what we need to do. So it makes absolute sense to do.
I have a quick question, Pete, and it was
Yeah.
because Life Goals put about 20 questions, and I got to know them. And it was one of them was for the way he put some of them were class as well. I think it was Cronin on the throne was what he put it. Maybe I have it here, but his question was, it was a pretty simple one, was how you finding working at Newcastle World so far? And I know you hit a milestone this week as well.
Yeah, so yeah, I joined in the November, but the Newcastle were launched in the August, and since August last year, we've grown every month in terms of page figures. So how many people are clicking on your articles, and we've surpassed 1 million page views last month. So yeah, good little milestone. It's good to see that the project is building. It's always a risk when you launch something new. Is it going to take off? But it's been supported by, I'm sure, people who watch the show and other Newcastle fans as well. So yeah, I've loved the role so far. Obviously, when I joined, it coincided with Newcastle's takeover. So it's been all positive, hasn't it? Good time to join. Good time to cover the club, obviously, on a really exciting journey. Just seeing where it takes us. But yeah, loving the role. To see hopefully more. Let's see where the road takes us. Hopefully I can be following Newcastle around Europe in the next couple of years. That would be the dream.
Definitely.
Trips. Nice one.
But more importantly, Jordan, we more than appreciate you being a part of Loaded Mag NUFC.
For sure.
And not just yourself, Liam Kennedy, who's a big supporter of the channel as well. Spoke to him again today. You guys are massive for us as a channel, but you guys are making massive strides. With the work that you guys are doing, the articles that you're putting out, the knowledge and the support you're putting out for the Newcastle fans. Do not underestimate the work that you are doing. It is fantastic, and over the course of the season, it's been amazing. And of course, you're going to be a part of what we're doing in the summer in terms of talking transfers, talking moves, and progressing as a club. And it's a pleasure to have you on every single week joining us. So massive thanks to you, Jordan, for everything you're doing.
Thank you for the nice words. It's always good to hear positive feedback, and obviously you lads have give us a platform to come and speak about obviously the club we all love. So thanks for that, and onwards and upwards is a channel, and is a fan supporting Newcastle United. It's an exciting future, isn't it? This time last year it was all doom and gloom. Now who knows? The sky's the limit with this football club now. So exciting.
Definitely.
Exactly.
And look,
Pete, I should mention the sponsors before we just close out, because we will forget. And then I'm going to run it really quickly. Say shout out to 1881 and to blackandwhitearmy.com, and check out the range that Bronwyn has on offer there. You all guys know it already, so I'm going to be really quick. And you'll about the loaded hat that's available on the donate side of 1881, and the profits for that go towards the food bank. Also, shout out to our friend Simon as well in the chat earlier, as always. And Simon rocking shybarnes.com, rocking the t-shirts and the hoodies, and something from Loaded coming soon with Simon. Watch this space. Also, Pins and Prints. You know them. I'm not going to put them up again. You already know them. And it's no point me putting up anything from NUFC memorabilia, retro NUFC, because it changes so regularly. But keep an eye on those bucket hats. Them bucket hats are cool, and they go like a flash. So get in on that.
I'm going to be wearing one on the show before too long. Like I'm going to be getting one.
Ah, nice.
Brilliant.
Very tempted to get one of there
for the channel. 100%.
Exactly. So that was really quick run through the sponsors, Pete. Back to you.
No, look, that's it. It's been a fantastic fully loaded transfer show. Great to have you on, Jordan, as always. Your points, your opinions, your knowledge on Newcastle United is fantastic, and it's always a pleasure to have you on, and many more to come over the course of the summer. Daz, absolute legend as always. You are the cog that keeps us running very, very nicely on Loaded Mag NUFC. Martin, absolute legend. Richie and Chris couldn't make it this week, but I'm sure they'll be back next week on the show. Supporting as always, and everyone in the chat. Special mention: the questions, the comments, the conversations that go on in this chat is unbelievable. Honestly, some of the questions and some of the conversations that go on in this chat from so many, I couldn't possibly individually name.
And you couldn't repeat them either. You couldn't repeat them.
I couldn't, but we really do appreciate it from a Loaded Mag NUFC point of view. So keep coming, keep supporting us. We've had 40 new sponsors, subscribers since the show's been on tonight. Keep subscribing to the show. Please hit that likes and subscribes to make our channel grow and build as we are going along. They'll be back for plenty of more in the weeks to come.
Radio. Good night, everyone. Thanks, Jordan. Take care.
See
See you next week.
See you soon.